Okay, in this lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to put both our supply and demand shifting into play here. If you notice at the bottom, I rewrote our Spytek and our tinting rules. And then we have what's called the 4 steps to finding out what equilibrium is. So to do this part of the assignment, what we're going to look at here is at the top. These are the only 4 possible outcomes that could occur giving a shift in either the supply curve or the demand curve. So we're going to set this up, and we're going to draw a squiggly line here to divide these two. The 2 curves on the left-hand side are going to represent a shift in the supply curve. Okay? The one on the left, graph A, is actually showing us a shift as an increase. So we're going to put increase underneath this. And then this would be the result of what happens when that curve shifts. The one on the right is actually a shift to the left, which then means a decrease. Over here on the right, both of these curves are representing a demand shift of the products. So if the curve shifts to the right here, this new curve is D1, therefore then this would be an example of an increase in the quantity demanded. And then the next curve is a decrease in the quantity demanded. Now, the ones that give students the biggest problems are the 2 supply curves, because visually they just don't look right. Okay? Remind yourself that we're always going to look at the quantity part here. So the result of, if I want to increase my supply, I got to go to the right. Yes, the price goes down, but that's because I'm producing more. That's why this is an increase. So always want to look down here where the quantity is. Okay? So this time, what we're going to look at is we're going to measure the supply and demand for jelly beans. And these are the only 4 possible outcomes. Okay? In these blanks, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 4 steps of how we want to think about this. Okay? And if we get in a pattern here and understand this, it becomes a lot easier. So the first question we always want to ask is this a supply or demand problem? Based on the question. Second part is we want to ask, is this going to increase or decrease our supply and demand for that product? The third thought process is, what rule are we going to use to justify our answer? There's the 2 sets of rules over here, the demand rules of Spytek or the tinting rules of supply. And then the fourth one is the graph. So each one of these examples here is worth 4 points. So I'll walk you through one of them and see what you can do with it here. It says the price of sugar is an increase. Well, I know I need sugar to make jelly beans. Sugar is an input price, so therefore I know it's going to affect the supply curve. If the supply of sugar or the price of sugar increases, I have less money to buy sugar. Therefore, I'm going to produce less, jelly beans. What rule am I going to use? Input prices. And therefore, looking at supply decrease, it would be graph letter B. So those are the 4 points, for this particular problem. All right, take a moment here and do the other 5. Hit pause, and then I'll go over the answers of the other ones. Okay, now let's look at our answers here. So for number 2, it says the price of bubble gum, a close substitute for jelly beans, increases. So it's a substitution effect. So the demand for jelly beans will increase because they become cheaper. Therefore, it's a substitution effect. And therefore, substitution effect, demand, graph C. A machine is invented to make jelly beans at a lower cost. That's technology. Technology will always increase our supply, therefore graph A. Government places a tax on foreign jelly beans. I did it as a tax. If you did it as government rules, you're also correct. So this would be a supply issue decrease based on taxes, graph letter B. Complementary good, price of soda, increases. Demand decrease, complementary good, graph letter D. Widespread prosperity. Prosperity means the amount of money that people have. So therefore, increases. So demand increase, income effect, graph letter C. Okay? Take a moment here and let these kind of sink in. And then on the back page of this, you have 9 more practice problems there. Practice using the steps and practice using the different types of graphs that you can use in doing these problems here. And we will go over those here on the next lesson.